Happy Sunday! I'm Melly Miriam and I'm the Closet Quilter. And today I want to talk about getting the most out of your quilting session with regards to the space that you have to quilt. What I mean by that is, oftentimes when I'm quilting, I have in mind to quilt a particular space on the quilt. Maybe you have a block, okay? And you want to quilt that whole block and you have a whole design for that block. Well, it would be a good idea to figure out if you can, number one, on your machine, on the Cutie Frame, if you have a hoop frame, if you can do it. And I don't have a ratchet system, so I can't speak to that. But on a hoop frame, we have a lot of options. First of all, the first consideration, of course, is your throat space. Do you have a mid-arm? Do you have a long arm? Do you have a domestic machine with a large throat? If you have one with a smaller throat, your options are very limited. I know, because I had that. So you just have to do what you can do. I was working, when I first started on the Cutie Frame, I was working with a PQ 1500S, which is now the SL. And I had literally 5 inches of vertical space. So every block I could only quilt 5 inches. Now, that's really hard to do. At the time, it was really hard for me to do feathers. Because when you're moving in a circular fashion, you need a little bit of wiggle room on that top of your feather, on that arc. Doing arcs is difficult when you have limited space. With a mid-arm or a long arm, it's not so much, it's just more or less placement of the piece that you're working on. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that. In my situation, I'm looking at my actual quilting space. I have talked about this a lot in a lot of my videos when I was on the PQ 1500, because I had to figure out what my actual vertical quilting space was. And on this, I have, with my frame extended all the way, with a quilt in it, okay? And the quilt is usually on top, so there's very little taking up the space in the back. I have about 11 and a half, 12, and I think it was 12 and a half, because it's a 15 pro. It's a 15-inch throat, but with the foot and the frame and this section of the foot, it's, it takes up about 12 and a half. I measured it. So take a tape measure and measure your actual quilting space, your vertical quilting space. This is horizontal, right? The horizon. And this is vertical. So if I want to quilt a particular space, I want to quilt this space right here, from here to here. And I have to consider exactly what I'm doing. So I'm looking at this piece, and there's cross stitch. Now, I think I can do this section first. So that relieves me of that amount. If I do this first, no problem. Then I just have this space, which I definitely have the ability to do. So I can reach it. I may shift up just to give me that extra. So if I do an arc here, I have that area to move. Arcs are the issue. When you do an arc, you need a little extra space, so you don't cut off you don't chop off the head of that arc, flatten it out. How many of us have flat arcs sometimes? It's because we didn't properly plan. I've done that so many times. So it does bear repeating. So I just wanted to make you aware of that when you do when you have a session or a pass, they call it a pass sometimes. On this pass, I think I'm just going to do this section. Okay, so I won't need the frame quite so large, so I can move it in, which gives me a lot less strain on my arms and shoulders and back. So I can flip this up, move it in to about the 8 mark, and I can do it on both sides to make it even, of course. That's the beauty of a hoop frame. You can adjust it according to whatever space you want to quilt. So I have I keep singing the praises of hoop frames, and because they're so versatile. You can literally quilt any size quilt, and you can go back. You know, I actually had this happen on the quilt. I actually finished the quilt, bound it, and then I looked at it, and there was a section that I really wanted to do something more on. It was just there wasn't enough quilting for me. So what did I just put it back up on the frame and did it. You can't do that on a ratchet system. You cannot do that because you're already quilted and you're off the frame, and the ratchet system has every layer separate on a separate rail, so that makes it a little difficult. So yeah, the hoop frame is quite versatile that way, and I just love it. So I hope this informational little snippet has been helpful for you, and I hope you have a great quilting day. I'm going to have a great quilting day. I'm very excited. I love quilting on the Cutie Frame. Now see, I'm just at the top of that area that I want to be in. So I'm going to bring it down just a hair. Placement is definitely key. I want to give myself enough space so that I can really move the way I want to. If I want to do arcs, if I want to do whatever I want to do, I can do whatever I want to do on the Cutie Frame. The Cutie Frame, for those of you that don't know, that are new, is a tabletop hoop frame made by the Grace Company. I do not work for the Grace Company. I don't work at all. I'm retired. I'm a retired phlebotomist. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I got more than enough room. I will be able to do my arcs here, no problem. Okay, and then once I do that, definitely have enough room. Yeah, on the hoop frame, when you do the bottom clip, it pulls it down just a hair. So keep that in mind. You can watch some of my other videos about beginning, and it will explain that situation, hooping. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. So on with the quilting. I hope you have a great quilting day, and thanks for stopping by the Closet Quilter.